Welcome to Barbie's Place where we could just chat it up. Last time I left you with Simone and her friend in the hospital, and they're learning to, one learn to pray and the other one learn to confront. And I also left you with asking for healing and coming into agreement and just being mindful for those who are in need of care and for those who care for others. Today I'm going to be talking to you about Simone's final days in the hospital. And this is important because sometimes we don't realize how close the devil is near, and the devil can be in different forms. Sometimes we want to blame the devil as this monster, but remember, the devil was the highest angel. He was beautiful. He was God's best, and so the devil is not always scary looking. You know, we made that image. We created the scary looking devil, but the devil comes in family members. The devil comes in people you don't know. It's always not something that's so obvious, you know what I'm saying? And you can't have a story of life altering events without the devil showing up. Of course not. Makes no sense, right? And Simone went through some really dark times because she was laughing, she was joking, she got through to her friend, everything was good, and then one morning it felt like she was having a heart attack. And she thought she was seriously going to die. And she was literally seeming like she was going to have a heart attack. I mean, talk about EKGs, everything breaking out in the room. I mean, it was a mess. They just really thought she was having a heart attack and she was dying. Luckily, come to find out, she had a blood clot. And it was in the upper part of her lungs. And it was caught because, you know, again, that could have been a brain aneurysm and different. That could have just been ugly all in itself. But they caught it. And she went from being on that floor laughing and joking with the nurses to being in ICU. Now, if anybody has ever been in ICU or knows anything about ICU, ICU is for where people are literally life and death. Like, they're on their last leg. They are not in a good place. And she was the only one alive, only one living, meaning moving, shaking, talking. And they even said to her, we've never had a person who's actually, you know, up and awake down here in ICU. So it's almost like she went from heaven to hell. It's almost like she was in the wilderness, the 40 days and 40 nights. It was almost like she had to go through this to understand. And what was interesting about this is that her friend couldn't be there the way she was upstairs in a regular unit. She had to come in at certain times, which was so crazy because this whole time she had support. Now she is really alone. Now it's just her and the Lord. Remember, what did she ask? She wants to be one with God. That was her request, right? And now she's in ICU and she is there by herself. The nurses are kind of weird. They're just like, it's just like a whole weird experience. And her mother calls her, and her mother's giving her instructions like her mother always do, telling her what she needs to do, what she needs to do. And for the first time in her life, she stood up for herself and she said, I can't do this. This is not the time for me to be getting instructions. I just need love and support. But something happened in that moment with Simone and her mother. Her mother finally heard her. Her mother heard her daughter's cry, saying, you can't instruct, you can't control. I need love, I need support. And she hung up. She couldn't talk to her mother. She hung up on her mother. She told her friend to just go because at this point she really understood it was just her and the Lord. And you know what she did? She told God, Lord, I only have you. Please wrap me in your arms and just hold me tonight because I don't know what else to do. And literally the Lord hugged her. She felt his presence around her like wings of the angel, like just so snug, and she fell asleep. When she woke up in the morning, it was like breakout time. She broke out of jail. They came with the wheelchair. She was able to go back to the floor. She was so excited, like, yes, Father God, yes. And it's almost like she needed that to understand where she was at. When she went upstairs, they started physical therapy, you know, helping her trying to walk. They did all these different things, but of course, the devil does not go so easily. And her last day or her last night in the hospital, one of the, I don't want to say orderlies, but one of the assistant nurses shows up But it's so funny because she only stayed half a day. So she literally showed up just to be used by the devil. And every day Simone would take a shower, and this day was no different. She went to take her shower, and her friend wasn't here because remember, her friend went home, so her friend was coming back. And she came out the shower. She walked past the nurse that was supposed to help her. She said, "Hey, I'm going in the room." The nurse was supposed to go in and help her. The nurse did not come at all. Simone went to go sit down in the chair, and in those hospitals they kind of had like these rocky chairs that if you sit in it can move, and it's for her not to fall, because when she went back on the chair she actually was gonna fall. What she did was slid down to the floor. When she slid down to the floor, she couldn't get back up because remember, she was not mobile from the waist down, or at this point she's shuffling, so she kind of had a little bit of mobility but she's not mobile. So she had to stay there. So she's calling for help because the door's closed, because she just came out the shower, she's naked, and she's calling for help. Nobody helped, nobody came. When they finally went to check on Simone, which was like at least 15, 20 minutes, when they finally went to go check on her, she was on the floor, but they had to consider that a fall. Now what ended up happening is, when you, as a nurse, from what Simone understood and what they explained to her, it's like a fall is not what you want on your record, because it can hinder you from getting other stuff. So now the head nurse was frantic. She was like, "Oh my God, this is gonna be on my record," and da da da. But the thing is that Simone's room is directly in front of the nurse's station, so she's hearing all this negativity. She's feeling all these things, and it's so funny because the one that was supposed to help her left. Like she literally, no, matter of fact, she left after the fall was counted. And it was so crazy because she didn't do anything. She came in for the day and pretty much did that and then left. And it made Simone so uncomfortable that she didn't even know if she could sleep there that night. So her friend came back, because she called her friend and said, "I can't be here by myself. Can you come back?" And her friend came back. But before her friend got to come back, the head nurse came in the room and talked to her. And Simone got to tell her again, confrontation, confront sometimes. I didn't fall, like I didn't fall. I slid down because of the chair situation. But what I didn't appreciate, and this is like Simone had to make sure that she got this, I didn't appreciate the unprofessional attitude that came with it. I didn't appreciate the fact that y'all having a conversation in front of my room, you know? And Simone had to say, like, it made me uncomfortable. For the first time that I'm here, I'm uncomfortable. And I wasn't uncomfortable anytime that I've been here. And now you have made me uncomfortable, because now I don't know what you're thinking. Like, do you want to harm me? Do you feel some type of way because, oh, I might have messed up your career? Like how do you feel? So I'm not comfortable, you know? And that's how Simone viewed it, you know? And it's crazy because, you know, the nurse took it in and she apologized. She said, "You know what, I didn't even realize I was being unprofessional." And she explained to Simone that it's, even though I'm not the one who was supposed to be watching you, it's on me because I was the head person for that day. So she said, "But I get it." And she was nice to her for the rest of the day. She wasn't mean to Simone. She wasn't, you know, any type of way. And then her boss came in and spoke to her that night, Simone, and Simone explained to her what happened, and she said, "I got it. I see what happened. I understand exactly what happened." So Simone, you know, she understood, and that exchange was very important. And it was good too, because the boss, the head nurse, she knew Simone. She knew her before she went down to the ICU, so she was very understanding. She knew her attitude and how she was, and she knew that she came from a genuine place. And what was interesting is, after that night, Simone got to go home the next morning. So it all basically was, again, being in the wilderness. It was that 40 day, that 40 night. It was, you do not get to get the glory of God without understanding what that glory means. It means that you do suffer when doing good and right, and it shouldn't be that way, most people would say, but it is, because this world is not always of righteousness. It's not always of right doing, and you're not going to be good and not have no adversary, no bad days, you know. Nobody gets away with that. So it's about pushing through. It's about knowing who you are. It's about seeing the world for what it is, and what it is what it is in your life, not what it is based off of what somebody else is telling you, because every day is different for each and every one of us. And God is with us every day. Whether you believe in God, whether some people say universe, some people say spirit, some people say all different type of things. But without that something, we fail ourselves. There's definitely something higher than us, and there's something that we turn to when we as human beings fail ourselves. It's very important that you know what that is for you and understand what that is for you. Again, I just want to ask for love and clarity in your life. I want to ask that you understand who you are and where you are going. And I thank you for listening to this story. And just so you know, Simone, she was okay. She actually continued teaching. And I don't know if I said that Simone was teaching Bible study, or she started with PWOC in the beginning, was being attacked. I think I did say that in the beginning. But instead of doing it in the church where she was being attacked, and instead of doing it at the PWOC, which is Protestants of Women in Christ, she actually started teaching on her own. And she's been teaching ever since the Word of God. And she has brought different women back into the glory of God and into His presence, and then again, whatever that means for you. And she will continue to do that, and that is her connection, that is her glory, and that is her oneness with God. The ability to bring people back into their glory. Bring people into the awareness of who they are. That is her gift to the world. She is one of God's secret places. And one thing that I love about Simone is that she gets to do things in secret that maybe people will never know about. And she gets to talk to people in secret that people would never, with people that others would not have even known that she had conversation. But the life-changing things that happen in those conversations, in those moments, is the things that I love about Simone. And I thank you again for listening to her story, and I thank you for, again, coming to Barbie's Place where we could just chat it up.